Well, this is a very, very interesting segment that's coming up, and it's a first for Fox because it's a live telephone interview, if we can remake the conversation, with a guy who's in a jail in Keene, New Hampshire, and he's in jail because he wouldn't turn his camera off. What a horrible crime that is. We'll
what was he filming?
Well, he was filming police and prosecutors in the hallway of a courthouse. You'll hear him tell the story in just a couple of minutes, where a judge decided to post his own sign, his own note saying no cameras. No legislature had ever authorized it. It wasn't signed by the judge. He just told his bailiff, put out that sign, no cameras, and arrest anybody. This is in the hallway.
Well, does the judge have authority outside the courtroom?
No, the judge doesn't have the authority outside the courtroom unless there's litigation about what's going on.
Judge, that's why I always bring up the issue, which a lot of people think is a silly issue compared to all the big issues going on in the world, online poker. If the government wants to tell you whether you could play poker in your own bedroom with your own money on your own computer, can you imagine what else they'll do, including arrest you for having a camera on too long? To me, that was always a significant issue.
All right, guys, thanks very much for joining us. We appreciate it. Peter Schiff, next week.
An honor, Judge.
Always a pleasure. Next time in New York, come by. We're joined now by Sam Dodson, the filmmaker and entrepreneur of OTN Productions, Obscured Truth Network. Sam, you are calling us, I believe, from the Cheshire County Department of Corrections in Westmoreland, New Hampshire. Am I right?
That's correct. Yeah, I was arrested 44 days ago in Keene, New Hampshire, in the district court lobby for filming on public property. And
what was it that you were filming, and what was the reason stated by the police who arrested you?
Well, the charges, I found out 2 weeks later, were disorderly conduct, resisting arrest, failure to be processed, and later they added a charge of theft because they couldn't find the serial number under the tripod plate on my camera. I think that was really kind of an attempt just to seize a $10,000 video camera.
All right, we have the audio version of your arrest, which we're going to play in just a moment.
Okay.
But I want you to set it up for us. What are we going to hear? Who was there? Where were you? And when did this happen?
Okay, this was on April 13th in the lobby of the Keene District Court. There was another activist, Dave Ridley, a videographer, who had been arrested for filming in the public lobby as well. So I went there to do a number of things. One, to get an official copy of the court order from the clerk, and also to film in the lobby and just break that law, essentially, because I didn't believe it to be constitutional, and I was exercising a right to freedom of the press. So we went up to the courtroom. There were about 10 activists or so. This is in the Free State, part of the Free State Project. A lot of activists have moved up there. And so he had several supporters that had shown up for his arraignment, and they were kind of standing behind me watching this, and one of them had a audio recorder, and I believe that's what you guys are about to play.
All right, so we're going to play this audio. We're going to play this sound in just a minute. As we do, I want to remind everyone that they can still tweet their questions and comments to Shelley Roche, who will be with us on screen via Skype in just a minute. Shelley will be putting some questions to Sam and to me. I also want to thank, even though he is your jailer, the sheriff was kind enough to let us conduct this interview, and I must tell you, you know I'm a former judge. I can tell you that interviews with people incarcerated, even those totally and absolutely innocent like you, are very rare in America today. I also want to say, so there's no bones about where I stand on this, to me, the camera is the new gun. It should be the weapon of choice in defense of any excessive behavior by the government, because the last thing the government wants is a video or audio of what you're now about to hear.
No cameras, no recording, no audio recording.
I'm sorry?
No audio recording, no camera, because it'll tell you right there.
What is that?
This is the orders. And we do have both.
Can I get this?
We'll make photocopies for them. We have people.
And what is your name again?
I'm Lance Walton.
Lance Walton. And are you a clerk here?
No, sir. I'm the court security officer.
Security officer. Okay. And this is what you're relying on to say that there is no filming in here?
Yes, sir.
Okay, this is not an order, sir. This is not signed by anybody, and I've read this. No judge would
I'm not
sign
going to argue
his
with
name
you.
to that.
You already know.
Okay,
And
well,
keep it out of my face.
this is not an order.
That's
Because
fine.
it's not signed by anybody. This is a sign of a right.
That's fine. I'm not going to argue with it.
It carries no force of law.
That's fine. You're not.
So we're free to film in here. Yes?
I asked you twice. No more.
You
If
told
I
me
have to, I asked you to keep
writing on the wall.
it
It's
out of
not
my.
signed by
Keep
any
it down.
judge.
If you're going to, are you recording, sir?
I am recording.
Okay. Stop recording, please. Sir?
I'm sorry?
Oh, wow. Come on, get up.
I think he really went limp.
Well, thug,
Sir.
who are you calling a thug? Well, anybody who's putting another man in chains or shackles. That's what I call a thug. What do you call a thug?
I'm looking at Ron.
Oh, really?
Ron.
Who am I hurting? Who are you hurting? Am I hurting anyone by standing here? Did I hurt your feelings maybe by saying the word thug?
What we're going to do is get the proceedings going. You ready for the arraignment? Of course. Let's get you in here. We'll get you screened in. We'll get you going.
Think they're hurting? You're filming somebody?
Hey, leave that guy alone!
What's going on?
Let me just open up the door. Just step back for a second.
Will you please make sure that he's safe in there?
Don't hurt him!
Will you please make sure you're not hurting him?
All right, Sam, before we go to the video, the snippets of this that we were able to capture courtesy of you and the other defenders of freedom that were there, who was restraining whom and for what? What were they saying to you and what were they doing to your equipment about halfway through this?
Well, so the court security officer had grabbed my left hand. He had motioned somebody to come over. They never identified themselves, as you heard. And one of them took my camera out of my right hand, and at that point, I just dropped to the floor. Now, I was wearing a really thick silver cuff bracelet that had 90-degree sharp edges on it. And when they put the handcuffs on, they didn't lock them down, number one, and they also got tangled in that bracelet. So as they start dragging me, the sharp edges of that bracelet start cutting into my wrist. It bruised the bone for a couple weeks. It created a couple puncture wounds, and that's why I was screaming. And now they knew that it was doing that the whole time as I'm being dragged and screaming. They're like, "Oh yeah, play it up for the crowd. You know, you're doing a good job," and mocking me and things like that. Later, they saw that the cuffs had tightened up even further. They loosened them and then took the time to lock them down after they had dragged me into that back room. And then, I had informed the Keene police officer who came to transport me to the police department that the court security officer was in violation of 18 U.S.C. 242, which is acting under the color of law in order to deny me my right to freedom of the press.
Correct. Hopefully that can be reviewed by a judge who will be faithful to his or her oath to uphold the Constitution.
It would be nice. He told me he didn't care, and he yanked me up so hard off the floor I bounced in his arms.
Oh, boy. We're going to go now to the videotape, Sam, of what happened with you in that courthouse, and as soon as the video's over, we'll come right back to you.